Good morning, everyone. It's Peter with the Garden Family. Happy 4th of July. Wanted to give you a little tour of the early summer garden. Most of these plants were planted out on May 15th, so they've been in the ground about 7-ish or so weeks now. So right behind me, we have a couple zucchini plants. And we have a strategy for growing these here in the Midwest to avoid squash vine borers. They're started under cover, and we recently took this cover off. We actually have 2 additional zucchini plants under row covers that we're going to see coming up here. And those are to take over these ones once the squash vine borer inevitably gets in the stem and takes these plants out. Also behind me on the cattle panel trellis here, we have our butternut squash and scarlet runner beans. The scarlet runner beans, we've saved seeds every year, and we like planting them in a place where they can climb and add a little pop of color to the garden. So on my left and your right is where we have all of our tomatoes. And we have a new trellis system this year. It's a cattle panel, 16-foot cattle panel that's suspended and about 5.5 feet over the tomato plants. And each of these plants is single-stemmed and attached to the trellis using a greenhouse string. We're just about getting to the top of the cattle panel trellis, so we're going to see how well that works to lean and lower these plants. I kind of figured by the time they reach the top we'd be harvesting the lowest tomatoes, and we're just getting to that point. We had our first ripe tomato a couple days ago, and really a lot of these will come in full swing in the next week or 2. So on my right and your left, we have all of our pepper plants. A few less this year. One thing we did find is having 2 plants too deep, meaning a plant in front and a plant behind against the shed. It was difficult to get in there and harvest and maintain the plants, so we just went with a single row of peppers this year. And they're flanked by, again, a little pop of color, a bunch of marigolds. Come on over this way, we'll take a look at a different section of the garden. So we got a lot of color over on this side. You can see behind me and to my left here, we have a lot of spider flowers. These are self-seeding annual. And at this point, they just really pop up everywhere in the garden, and we pick a few sections to let them grow and take out a lot of the other plants. We can also see very tall, the hollyhocks. A lot of bumblebees on our plants this year. Hundreds of bumblebees. And they're kind of just getting to the tail end of their lifespan here. They've been flowering for the last 3 weeks or so. You can also see a little dwarf peach tree behind me. And 2 cattle panel trellises here. So on my left, your right, still not very large. They've been kind of slow to come on. We have an Arava melon, and it seems like they've had a lot of pickup of growth lately, so I'm excited to see those get bigger. And we have a cantaloupe over here on my right, your left side. On the trellis farther in the foreground, on my right, your left, we have our cucumbers. And haven't harvested any cucumbers yet this year, and that's a little late for us. We actually did all of our cucumbers, melons, and squash plants with direct sowing this year rather than starting them indoors, and I do think that put us a few weeks behind in comparison to previous years. few other tomato plants here on poles, and some herbs and basils on the left side there. One more section of the garden to take a look at. So let's move over this way. So over on this section of the garden, we have a row cover on my left, your right. And this is probably the shadiest section of the garden because there's a large maple tree just to the east of this, so it doesn't get afternoon sun. This is where we grew all of our lettuces, and if you want to see a video about growing lettuce, I'll somehow put it in a link above here. And the lettuces are done for the season, however, and so what we have underneath here is we have a bush beans, dragon's tongue bush beans, and we have 2 more zucchini plants like we talked about earlier. We'd like to have a second set that will come on in the next few weeks, and just in case we lose the 2 plants that we have uncovered in the other section of the garden that you saw. Behind me we have our strawberry patch. Those are kind of at the tail end here. We got a lot of strawberries end of May, early June, which is a normal time here in Ohio, Zone 6A, and then a few herbs. What you're looking through is a cattle panel trellis that has grapes on it, and the grapes have done really well this year, actually. We've always battled some fungal diseases with the grapes, but I think as the plants are maturing, and it must have been a good spring for them. We have a lot of grapes, so hopefully we get to a few of them before the birds. I hope you enjoyed the tour of our early summer garden. We're really excited about the next few weeks as we get into the harvest season. If you want to see a video of our harvest this year, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We'll probably be putting that out in the next month or so. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit like down there. Happy gardening, everyone.